Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of Colony Station Perseverance, staring into the endless black of space. Behind her, the emergency council meeting had just ended. The news was worse than anyone had imagined. 18 months. That was how long they had been alone. 18 months since the relay network had gone dark. 18 months since they had heard anything from Earth or any other human colony. 50,000 people lived on this station, floating in the outer rim of known space, and every single one of them was starting to believe they had been forgotten. Sarah was 42 years old. With gray streaks in her black hair that had not been there 2 years ago, she was the colony administrator, which meant every problem, every fear, every nightmare fell on her shoulders. She had told people not to worry. She had said Earth would come. She had lied through her teeth because that was what leaders did. Administrator Chen. The voice belonged to Marcus Webb, head of colony security. He was a tall man with dark skin and worried eyes. "We have a problem." Sarah almost laughed. They had nothing but problems. What kind of problem? The kind with guns pointed at us. Her blood went cold. "Show me." They rushed to the command center where screens showed what their sensors had picked up. Sarah felt her stomach drop. Ships. Dozens of them. No, hundreds of them. An entire fleet had just appeared at the edge of their system, and they were not human ships. Dr. Yuki Tanaka was already at her station, her fingers flying across the controls. She was their xenobiologist, one of the few people who had studied alien species. "I have identified them," she said, her Japanese accent thick with stress. "Kresh Dominion. They are a military empire from the Orion sector. Are they friendly?" Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. "No." Yuki pulled up images of Kresh warriors. They looked like insects crossed with reptiles, with 4 arms and armor-plated skin. They conquer weak species and force them into slavery. "They only respect strength," Marcus cursed under his breath. "We have 12 security officers and maybe 50 hunters with rifles. That is not an army." "Incoming transmission," the communications officer announced. Sarah straightened her uniform. "Put it through." The main screen flickered and a Kresh appeared. He was massive, with scars across his face and medals covering his chest. When he spoke, the computer translated his clicking, hissing language into English. "Human colony. I am Commander Vexthor of the Kresh Dominion. Your species is weak. Your civilization has abandoned you. You will surrender this station and all its people to us within 72 hours. Or we will destroy you completely. This is not a negotiation. This is your fate." The screen went black. Silence filled the command center. Sarah could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. 50,000 people. 15,000 of them were children. They had come here to mine rare minerals, to study alien ecosystems, to build a new home among the stars. They were scientists and engineers and farmers and teachers. They were not soldiers. "What do we do?" someone whispered. Sarah took a deep breath. "Marcus, start evacuation procedures. Get everyone into the underground shelters. They are built to survive meteor strikes, so they might hold against bombardment. Yuki, find out everything you can about Kresh culture. Maybe there is something we can use." "And you?" Marcus asked. "I am going to buy us time." Sarah walked toward her office. "And I am going to send a message to Earth." "Sarah?" Marcus caught her arm. "Earth has not answered in 18 months. They are not coming." She pulled away gently. "Then we send it anyway. Because that is what humans do. We do not give up." In her office, Sarah composed the message carefully. She explained their situation. She gave their coordinates. She told Earth that they were about to die, and they wanted someone to know they had been here. They had mattered. They had been human. She sent the message through the old FTL beacon, watching it shoot off into space faster than light itself. It would reach Earth in 3 days if the beacon still worked, if anyone was still there to receive it. If Earth still cared about a forgotten colony on the edge of nowhere, then Sarah began the impossible task of negotiating with Commander Vexthor. She opened a channel and put on her bravest face. The Kresh commander appeared again, looking amused. "You wish to beg?" he asked. "I wish to negotiate," Sarah replied. "What do you want from us?" "Everything. Your station, your resources, your people as workers. You will serve the Dominion or you will die. And if we serve, you will let us live?" Vexthor laughed, a horrible clicking sound. "Some of you. The useful ones. The rest?" He made a cutting gesture across his throat. Sarah kept her voice steady. "We need time to discuss your terms. To prepare our people, you have 72 hours. Not 1 second more. The transmission ended. Sarah sat alone in her office and allowed herself 1 minute to shake, to feel the terror, to imagine the end. Then she stood up, wiped her eyes, and went back to work. Over the next 2 days, the colony transformed. Families moved into the underground shelters with whatever they could carry. Engineers reinforced the blast doors. Hunters and security officers gathered every weapon they owned, knowing it would not be enough. Marcus organized them into defensive positions that they all knew were useless. David Park was a young engineer with a 7-year-old daughter named Emma. He carried her on his shoulders as they walked to the shelters, pointing out the stars and telling her stories. "Earth is out there," he said. "They are coming to save us. But Papa, everyone says they are not coming." David smiled, though his heart was breaking. "Everyone is wrong. Humans do not abandon each other. Remember that, Emma. No matter what happens, remember that we are human." In the command center, Yuki made a disturbing discovery. She intercepted Kresh communications using a decoder they had built years ago for studying alien signals. "Sarah," she said urgently, "the Kresh are calling for more ships. They want to claim this entire region of space. We are not just a target. We are a test. If they take us easily, they will attack other human colonies." Sarah felt sick. "How many other colonies are out here?" "At least 20 that we know of. All of them as defenseless as we are." Marcus joined them, his face grim. "The deadline is in 6 hours. What are your orders, Administrator?" Sarah looked at her people. She thought about the children in the shelters. She thought about Earth, silent and mysterious, 3 years into some unknown crisis. She thought about what it meant to be human. "We do not surrender," she said quietly. "We do not kneel. If we are going to die, we die as humans. Send a message to Vexthor. Tell him we refuse his terms." "Sarah," Marcus started. "Tell him," she repeated, her voice hard as steel. The message was sent. Commander Vexthor responded with a single word: "Foolish." The Kresh fleet began moving into attack position. Sarah stood at the observation deck one last time, watching death approach in the form of alien warships. She whispered to the empty space, to the stars, to Earth if anyone was listening. "We are human. We do not kneel. And if you are out there, if you can hear this, please come." But space remained silent, and the enemy drew closer with every passing second. 48 hours had passed since Sarah Chen had sent Earth the desperate message. 48 hours since she had refused to surrender. The Kresh had not been idle during that time. Mining Station Echo, located on the nearest asteroid, had been home to 200 workers and their families. Sarah watched on the screens as Kresh ships surrounded it. She opened a channel, trying to evacuate the people, but it was too late. Commander Vexthor wanted to send a message. The mining station exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the darkness of space. 200 souls gone in an instant. Sarah closed her eyes, but she could still see it. She would see it forever. "He is showing us what will happen," Yuki said quietly, standing beside her in the command center. "This is psychological warfare. He wants us to be afraid." "It is working," Sarah admitted. Her hands were shaking and she could not make them stop. Marcus entered, his face haggard from lack of sleep. "The last of the children are in the deep shelters. We have stored enough food and water for 3 months. If we survive the bombardment, we can hide down there." "If," Sarah repeated. That is a very small word carrying a very heavy weight. Down in the shelters, David Park was trying to keep his daughter Emma calm. The underground bunkers were crowded with families, all of them trying to stay brave for the children. Emma clutched her stuffed rabbit and looked up at her father with wide eyes. "Is it going to hurt?" she asked. David pulled her close. "No, sweetheart. We are safe down here. These walls are very strong. But what about the people on the mining station? Are they safe?" David's throat tightened. Emma did not know yet. None of the children knew. "How did you tell a 7-year-old that 200 people had just died? That they might be next?" "They are with the stars now," he finally said. "And Earth is coming. I promise you, Emma, Earth is coming." But Emma was smart. She heard the doubt in his voice. "You do not really believe that, do you, Papa?" Before David could answer, the lights flickered. An alarm sounded through the shelters. Everyone went quiet. Parents held their children. Old people held hands. They all knew what that alarm meant. On the surface, Sarah watched as the Kresh fleet moved closer. Their ships were ugly things, all sharp edges and weapon ports. They looked like they had been built for one purpose only: destruction. Incoming transmission from Vexthor. the communications officer announced. Sarah nodded. Put him through. The creche commander appeared on screen, his mandibles clicking in what might have been laughter. Human administrator, I have shown you our power. Your mining station is dust. Your people are dead. And still you refuse to kneel? Yes, Sarah said simply. Why? Vexthor leaned forward, genuinely curious. You cannot win. Your Earth has abandoned you. Your military is not coming. You are alone in the darkness, about to die, and yet you resist. Why? Sarah thought about her answer carefully. Because we are human. And humans do not kneel. Not to you. Not to anyone. We would rather die free than live as slaves. Vexthor was quiet for a moment. Then he said something unexpected. I have conquered 47 species. Most of them surrendered immediately. A few fought, but they always begged at the end. You humans are different. Foolish, but different. Maybe, Sarah replied. Or maybe you have just never met a species that refuses to be conquered. You will be conquered. I have called for reinforcements. 3 more fleets are coming to claim this region of space. When we are done with you, we will move on to your other colonies. All of them will fall. The human species will be added to the Dominion, and your Earth will not even know until it is too late. The transmission ended. Sarah felt cold. 3 more fleets. Other colonies. The creche were not just attacking Perseverance. They were planning to wipe out humanity's entire presence in this sector of space. We need to warn the other colonies, Marcus said urgently. How? Yuki asked. The relay network is still down. We cannot reach anyone. Then we fight, Marcus replied. We make this so costly for them that the other colonies have time to prepare. Sarah looked at him sadly. Marcus, we have 12 security officers and some hunters with rifles. They have hundreds of warships. We cannot fight them. Then what do we do? Marcus shouted, his calm finally breaking. Do we just sit here and wait to die? Do we let them kill us without even trying? No, Sarah said quietly. We survive as long as we can. We make them remember that humans were here, and we hope that somehow, someway, Earth hears us. But hope was a fragile thing, and it was dying with every passing hour. In the deep shelters, people were starting to argue. A group of miners had gathered in one of the common areas, and their voices were getting louder. We should surrender, one man said. His name was Robert Chen, and he had 3 children. At least some of us might survive. My kids might survive. They will enslave us, another woman argued. Or worse. You heard what the administrator said? The administrator is going to get us all killed with her pride, Robert shouted. We are not soldiers. We are miners and scientists. We should not be fighting an alien empire. David Park stood up. And we should not be slaves either. Would you really want your children to grow up as property? To never know freedom? I want them to grow up at all. Robert yelled back. The argument might have turned violent, but Emma Park's small voice cut through the shouting. My papa says Earth is coming. We just have to wait. Everyone turned to look at the little girl. She stood there in her dirty dress, holding her stuffed rabbit, looking at them all with such complete faith that it broke their hearts. Robert Chen knelt down in front of her. Sweetheart, Earth is not coming. They forgot about us. No, Emma said firmly. Humans do not abandon each other. My papa said so. Tears ran down Robert's face. He pulled Emma into a hug. I'm sorry, little one. I am so sorry, the argument ended. People went back to their families. But the fear remained, thick as smoke, choking hope from the air. Back in the command center, Sarah discovered something in the old records. Files that were 3 years old, marked classified. They detailed something called the Consolidation Protocol. Earth had initiated it just before the relay network went dark. What does it mean? Marcus asked, reading over her shoulder. I do not know, Sarah said. But look at this. Every military ship was recalled to Sol system. Every resource was redirected to Earth. It was like they were preparing for something big. Preparing for what? It does not say. Sarah scrolled through more files. But whatever it was, they went completely silent after. No messages. No updates, nothing. Yuki looked up from her station. Maybe they were attacked. Maybe Earth fell, and that is why no one has come. The thought was too terrible to speak aloud. If Earth had fallen, then humanity was truly lost. The colonies would be picked off one by one, and the human species would become a footnote in galactic history. Sarah stood up straight. It does not matter. Even if Earth is gone, we are still here. We are still human, and we do not kneel. The final hours passed slowly. People said goodbye to each other. Families held each other tight. David Park told Emma stories about Earth, about green grass and blue skies and oceans so vast you could not see the end. He told her about humanity's history, about the brave people who had explored and discovered and built civilizations among the stars. "We are explorers," he whispered. "We are dreamers, and we never give up." Emma fell asleep in his arms, still believing that Earth would come. David hoped she would stay asleep when the end came. He hoped it would be quick. On the surface, dawn was breaking over Colony Station Perseverance. Sarah stood at the observation deck one last time. The Kresh fleet was powering up weapons. She could see the energy signatures building. In minutes, maybe seconds, they would fire. She pressed her hand against the glass and whispered, "We were human. We were here. We mattered." The Kresh weapons glowed brighter. Every screen in the command center showed the same thing: imminent destruction. Marcus stood ready. Yuki closed her eyes. Sarah took one last breath, and then space itself tore open. The sensors screamed. Sarah Chen had never heard anything like it. Every alarm in the command center went off at once, creating a wall of sound that made her ears ring. The screens flickered and went white with static. Then they came back online, and Sarah's heart stopped. Space was tearing apart. It looked like someone had taken a knife to reality itself and cut a hole in the universe. Blue and white light poured through, twisting and folding in ways that hurt to look at. The wormhole grew larger and larger, a massive wound in the fabric of space. "What is that?" Marcus shouted over the alarms. "Wormhole signatures." Yuki's hands flew across her controls. Multiple signatures. Large scale. Very large scale. "I am reading—" She stopped, her eyes going wide. "That cannot be right." "What?" Sarah grabbed her shoulder. "What cannot be right?" "The number of ships." Yuki's voice was barely a whisper. "There are hundreds of them." The first ship emerged from the wormhole, and it was beautiful. It was massive, easily 3 times the size of the largest Kresh warship. Its hull was sleek and dark, covered in armor plating that caught the starlight. Weapon ports ran along its sides, and engines glowed with blue fire. On its bow, in letters 20 meters tall, was a name: Indomitable. Then another ship came through. And another. And another. They kept coming, an endless stream of warships pouring out of the wormhole like a steel river. Sarah watched in complete disbelief as 10 ships became 20, 20 became 50, 50 became 100. They were all different sizes, from small destroyers to massive dreadnoughts. But they all shared one thing. On every single hull, painted in white, was a symbol, a blue circle with green continents. A white moon in the corner. "The symbol of Earth." "It is Earth," Sarah breathed. They came. They actually came. Marcus was laughing and crying at the same time. "How many ships are there?" Yuki checked her sensors 3 times to be sure. 500. 500 warships, and they are still coming through. The Kresh fleet, which had seemed so powerful moments ago, suddenly looked very small. Commander Vexthor's ships were frozen in space, their weapons still charged but no longer firing. Sarah could imagine the shock on his face. A new ship emerged from the wormhole, larger than all the others. It was a monster, a floating fortress bristling with weapons. Its name was painted in gold: Terra's Fury. "Incoming transmission," the communications officer said, his voice shaking. "It is from the flagship." "Put it through," Sarah ordered. The screen flickered and a man appeared. He was in his 60s, with gray hair cut military short and eyes like steel. His uniform was dark blue with more medals than Sarah could count. He looked like a man who had seen war and won. "Colony Station Perseverance," he said, his voice deep and calm. "This is Admiral James Cortez of the Earth Defense Fleet, First Fleet. We received your distress signal." He smiled slightly. "We apologize for the delay." "We are here now." Sarah's legs gave out. She collapsed into her chair, tears streaming down her face. "Admiral, we thought Earth had abandoned us." "Earth does not abandon her children," Cortez replied simply. "Not now. Not ever." In the deep shelters, the emergency broadcast system came online. Admiral Cortez's voice echoed through the tunnels and chambers where 50,000 people were hiding. Emma Park woke up and looked at her father with sleepy eyes. "Papa? Who is that?" David Park was staring at the speaker with his mouth open. "That is Earth, sweetheart. That is Earth." All around them, people were crying, laughing, hugging each other. Someone started singing an old song about going home, and others joined in. The fear that had been choking them for days lifted like morning fog. Earth had come. On the flagship Terra's Fury, Admiral Cortez turned to his communications officer. "Open a channel to the Kresh, Commander." The officer nodded. "Channel open, sir." Cortez's face became hard as stone. "Commander Vexthor of the Kresh Dominion. I am Admiral James Cortez. You have threatened human lives. You have destroyed a human station. You have killed human citizens. I am going to give you one chance and only one chance. Leave this system immediately or face the consequences." On his command ship, Vexthor stared at the screen in disbelief. He had conquered 47 species. He had never been threatened before. He was the one who issued threats, not received them. "You dare threaten the Kresh Dominion?" he hissed. "We are the strongest military power in this sector. We have crushed empires older than your species." "That was before you met us," Cortez replied. "You have 1 hour. Choose wisely." The transmission ended. Vexthor looked at his fleet, then at the human fleet. His ships outnumbered them 2-1. His intelligence reports had said humans were weak, barely spacefaring, no real military power. These ships must be a bluff. They had to be. "All ships," Vexthor commanded. "Prepare to engage. We will destroy this human fleet and then finish with the colony. Show them the power of the Kresh." His officers hesitated. "Commander, we should withdraw and analyze a—" "No." Vexthor slammed his fist down. "We do not retreat from humans. We will crush them and use their ships for scrap. Attack formation. Engage both targets." The Kresh fleet moved forward, weapons charging. They outnumbered the human ships. They had firepower. They had experience. They had conquered 47 species, but they had never fought humans before. Sarah watched from the command center as the two fleets faced each other in the darkness of space. "What is the Admiral doing?" she asked. "Why is he not moving?" "Wait," Yuki said, leaning forward. "Look at the formation." The Earth fleet was not scattered like the Kresh. Every ship was in perfect position, forming geometric patterns in three-dimensional space. It was like watching a dance, precise and beautiful. They moved as one, 500 ships acting like a single organism. "That is impossible," Marcus whispered. "No fleet can coordinate like that. The delay in communications alone, They are using quantum entanglement communicators," Yuki interrupted. "No signal delay. Instant communication across any distance. That technology does not exist. Or it did not exist." "It exists now," Sarah said. Admiral Cortez stood on the bridge of Terra's Fury, watching his tactical display. His officers were at their stations, calm and ready. They had done this before. "Not with the Kresh, but with enemies far more dangerous, sir," his tactical officer reported. "The Kresh fleet is moving into attack formation. They are charging weapons. Let them come," Cortez said quietly. "When they are in range, you may fire. Full spread. Show them what we have learned." "Yes, sir." The Kresh fleet accelerated, their ships spreading out to surround the human fleet. Vexthor was smiling on his command ship. This would be easy. These humans thought their numbers would save them. He would teach them about real power. "Fire," he ordered. Hundreds of energy beams and missiles launched from the Kresh ships, a wall of destruction aimed at the human fleet. It was enough firepower to destroy a planet's surface. Surely it would be enough to wow. The human ships activated their shields. The Kresh weapons hit barriers of blue energy and simply stopped. The shields flickered but held, absorbing impacts that should have torn through steel. Not a single human ship was damaged. "Impossible," Vexthor breathed. On Terra's Fury, Cortez nodded once. "Our turn. Fire." What happened next would be recorded in history books across 100 worlds. The Earth fleet fired as one, 500 ships releasing their weapons in perfect synchronization. But these were not normal weapons. Railguns fired projectiles at a significant fraction of the speed of light, kinetic energy weapons that hit like meteors. Quantum disruption torpedoes phased through shields and tore ships apart from the inside. Plasma cannons superheated to temperatures that matched the surface of stars. And new weapons, secret weapons, built from technology developed in 3 years of desperate war. The first volley hit the Kresh fleet like the hammer of an angry god. 50 Kresh ships exploded simultaneously, just vanished in balls of fire and debris. The second volley followed seconds later and 50 more ships died. The Kresh formation fell apart as captains tried to evade, but there was nowhere to run. The human weapons were too fast, too accurate, too powerful. Sarah watched the battle with her mouth open. It was not a battle. It was an execution. The mighty Kresh fleet, which had terrified her for days, was being torn apart like paper. Their ships exploded one after another, lighting up space like fireworks. "How?" she whispered. "How is this possible?" In the shelters, people gathered around screens, watching the impossible happen. Emma Park climbed onto her father's shoulders to see better. "Papa, are we winning?" David Park laughed, tears running down his face. "Yes, sweetheart. We are winning." The battle lasted 8 minutes. When it was over, 300 Kresh ships were destroyed. The survivors were fleeing in all directions, their formation shattered, their power broken. Commander Vexthor's flagship tried to escape, its engines burning at maximum power. "Disable that ship," Admiral Cortez ordered. "I want the commander alive." A single shot from Terra's Fury, carefully aimed, destroyed the Kresh flagship's engines. The ship went dead in space, unable to move but still intact. Cortez smiled coldly. "Bring him to me." Commander Vexthor materialized on the bridge of Terra's Fury in a flash of blue light. Teleportation technology. Another thing that should not have existed. He stumbled, disoriented, and found himself surrounded by human soldiers pointing weapons at him. The bridge was enormous, filled with screens and stations and officers working with quiet efficiency. At its center stood Admiral James Cortez, hands clasped behind his back, watching the Kresh commander with cold eyes. "Bring him forward," Cortez ordered. The soldiers pushed Vexthor toward the admiral. The Kresh commander was used to being the most dangerous thing in any room, but here, surrounded by these humans, he felt something he had not felt in decades. Fear. "Do you know who I am?" Vexthor hissed, trying to salvage some dignity. "I am a commander of the Kresh Dominion. You cannot treat me like this. There will be consequences." "Consequences," Cortez repeated softly. He walked closer, and Vexthor could see the scars on the admiral's face, the hardness in his eyes. This was a man who had seen things, done things, survived things. "Let me tell you about consequences." Cortez gestured to the main screen. It showed the remains of the Kresh fleet, burning debris floating in space. "You came to our colony. You threatened our people. You killed 200 of our citizens. And you thought there would be no consequences?" "Your intelligence report said humans were weak," Vexthor said. "Barely spacefaring. No real military. How do you have this?" He gestured at the ships around them. "Our intelligence was 3 years old," Cortez replied. "A lot can change in 3 years. Let me tell you a story, Commander. 3 years ago, Earth was exactly what your report said. We had some colony ships, some mining operations, a small defense fleet. We were explorers, not warriors." He paused, his jaw tightening. "Then the Vrex Empire found us." Vexthor's eyes widened. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Vrex. They were the strongest military power in known space, an empire that had conquered thousands of worlds over 10,000 years. They made the Kresh look like children playing with toys. "The Vrex do not negotiate," Cortez continued. "They do not accept surrender. They simply take what they want and destroy everything else." They arrived at Sol System with a fleet of 5,000 ships. They told us we had 24 hours to evacuate Earth before they burned it to ash. They wanted our system for its resources. Cortez walked to the window, staring out at the stars. They thought it would be easy. Earth was supposed to fall in days. Every prediction said we would be crushed. But they made one mistake, Commander. They threatened our home. "What happened?" Vexthor asked, unable to stop himself. "We fought." Cortez's voice was hard. "We initiated the consolidation protocol. Every nation on Earth united. Every resource was mobilized. We stopped exploring and started building weapons. We took every scientist, every engineer, every factory and told them, 'Make us stronger or we die.'" He turned back to Vexthor. "The Vrex expected us to fall in days. We held for 6 months. 6 months of the bloodiest fighting the galaxy has ever seen. We lost 3 billion people. Half of Earth's surface was burned. Our moon was shattered. But we learned, Commander. Oh, we learned. We studied their technology as we fought them. We adapted. We evolved. We took their weapons and made them better. We created things they had never seen. And after 6 months of hell, we did the impossible." Cortez smiled, and it was terrifying. "We won." Vexthor felt his blood run cold. "You defeated the Vrex Empire? We destroyed their invasion fleet. Every single ship. Then we followed them back to their nearest stronghold and destroyed that too. We showed them that humans, when threatened, when pushed to the edge, become the most dangerous species in the galaxy." Cortez walked closer to Vexthor. "For 3 years we have been rebuilding. We kept it quiet because we wanted to be ready before we revealed ourselves. We built new ships. We reclaimed our colonies. We made sure that no one would ever threaten humanity again. He gestured at the fleet outside. This is the first fleet. We have 9 more just like it. And they are all out here right now, liberating human colonies, showing the galaxy that we have arrived. Vexthor's legs felt weak. 9 more fleets, 4,500 ships total. And if they had defeated the Vrex, then no one in the galaxy could stand against them. The Kresh Dominion had made a terrible mistake. What are you going to do with me? Vexthor asked. I'm going to let you go, Cortez said. And you are going to deliver a message to your Dominion. You are going to tell them exactly what happened here. Tell them about our fleet. Tell them about our weapons. Tell them that humanity is no longer prey. He leaned in close. And tell them that if they ever threaten a human again, we will not be as merciful as we were today. Do you understand? Vexthor nodded quickly. I understand. Good. Cortez gestured to his soldiers. Put him in an escape pod. Send him home. As the soldiers dragged Vexthor away, he looked back at the human admiral. Why did you show mercy? You could have killed me. Killed all of us, Cortez met his eyes. Because we are not like you, Commander. We do not conquer for pleasure. We do not enslave the weak. We fight when we must, and we protect our own. That is what makes us human. That is what makes us dangerous. Vexthor was placed in an escape pod and launched. As he drifted away from the human fleet, he watched them through the small window. 500 warships, each one more powerful than anything the Kresh had, and 9 more fleets out there doing the same thing. The galaxy had changed. Humanity had changed it, and the Kresh had learned a very expensive lesson. On Colony Station Perseverance, Sarah Chen watched the Admiral's ship approach. Landing craft were already arriving, bringing supplies and relief workers. Medical teams were setting up in the main hangar. Engineers were examining the damage to the station, but Sarah could not stop staring at the flagship. Admiral James Cortez was coming down. The man who had saved them was going to set foot on their station. Are you nervous? Marcus asked, standing beside her. Terrified, Sarah admitted. What do you say to someone who saved your life? Who saved 50,000 lives? Thank you seems inadequate, Marcus agreed. The landing craft touched down and the hatch opened. Admiral Cortez stepped out, followed by several officers. He was tall, imposing in his uniform, but his eyes were kind. He walked straight to Sarah and extended his hand. Administrator Chen, it is an honor to meet you. Sarah shook his hand, barely able to speak. Admiral, we cannot thank you enough. We thought we were going to die. I know, Cortez said gently, and I am sorry we could not get here sooner. We received your distress signal 3 days ago and came as fast as we could. 3 days? Sarah's eyes widened. But we are weeks away from Earth at maximum FTL speed. Not anymore, Cortez smiled. Wormhole technology. We can cross the galaxy in hours now. One of the things we developed during the war. Yuki pushed forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her shyness. Admiral, your weapons, your shields, your coordination. How did you advance so much in just 3 years? Cortez's smile faded. Necessity, Doctor. War forces innovation. We had to become better or die. So we became better. He looked around at the colony. But that is enough talk of war. Let us focus on rebuilding. You have been through hell. Let us help you recover. Over the next hours, Sarah learned the full scope of Earth's operations. 47 other colonies had been liberated in the past month. Every single one had thought they were abandoned. Every single one had been wrong. Earth was building something new. The Terran Federation, uniting all human colonies under one banner, protected by a military that had proven itself against the strongest empire in the galaxy. In the deep shelters, children were being brought to the surface for the first time in days. Emma Park ran across the hangar, her stuffed rabbit bouncing in her arms, and nearly crashed into Admiral Cortez's legs. Oh, she looked up at the tall man in the fancy uniform. Are you from Earth? Cortez knelt down to her level. I am, and who are you? Emma Park. My papa said you would come. Everyone said he was wrong, but he was right. Cortez felt something crack inside his chest. He had seen so much death, so much destruction. But here was a little girl who had never stopped believing. Your papa's a smart man. What is your friend's name? He pointed at the stuffed rabbit. Mr. Whiskers. That is an excellent name. Cortez looked up at David Park, who was watching with tears in his eyes. You have a wonderful daughter, Mr. Park. Why did you come? Emma asked suddenly. Everyone said Earth forgot about us. Cortez took Emma's small hand in his large one. Because you are human, Emma, and humans never leave their family behind, ever. Remember that. Emma smiled. And for the first time in 3 years, Admiral James Cortez felt something other than the weight of war. He felt hope. 3 days had passed since the battle. Colony Station Perseverance was transforming before Sarah Chen's eyes. The Earth fleet had brought everything. Medical supplies, food, water, building materials, and most importantly, hope. Engineers from Terra's Fury were working alongside the colonists to repair damage. Relief workers were counseling families who had lost people on Mining Station Echo. Children were playing in the hangars, running between the legs of soldiers who smiled and let them examine their equipment. Sarah stood in her office looking at a holographic display. It showed the entire sector of space around them. Little blue dots marked human colonies, and as she watched, another one turned from red to blue. Another colony liberated, another group of humans who thought they were alone, now reconnected with Earth. 48 colonies, Admiral Cortez said, walking into her office. As of an hour ago, 48 colonies liberated in the past month. Over 3 million people brought back into the fold. How many more are out there? Sarah asked. Intelligence suggests another 73 isolated colonies. We will reach them all within 6 months. Cortez joined her at the display. No human will be left behind. That is the promise. Sarah turned to face him. What happens now, Admiral? We cannot just go back to the way things were. We are not, Cortez replied. Earth is establishing the Terran Federation, a unified government representing all human colonies. Every colony gets representation. Every voice gets heard. We are building something new, Administrator. Something stronger. And the military? Cortez's expression grew serious. The threat is not over. The Vrex were pushed back, not destroyed. There are other empires out there. We need to be ready. He looked at her carefully. We need good leaders. People who have proven themselves under fire. Earth would like you to take a position in the new Federation government. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. I appreciate the offer, Admiral. But my place is here. These people trusted me to lead them through the worst days of their lives. I cannot abandon them now. Cortez smiled. I thought you might say that. Then let me offer you something else. How would you like to be the sector administrator for this entire region? 48 colonies need coordination, need leadership. You could do a lot of good. I will think about it, Sarah promised. They walked together through the station. Everywhere they went, people stopped to thank the Admiral. He shook every hand, learned every name, listened to every story. Sarah realized this was why his people followed him. He genuinely cared. In the medical bay, they found Dr. Yuki Tanaka examining pieces of Kresh technology that had been recovered from destroyed ships. Her eyes were bright with excitement. Administrator, Admiral, look at this. She held up a small device. This is their shield generator. It is impressive, but our technology is at least 30 years ahead. The quantum principles alone, Doctor, Cortez interrupted gently. In smaller words, please. Yuki laughed. Sorry. I am saying that Earth's technology has advanced incredibly. In 3 years you achieved what should have taken a century. How? Desperation, Cortez said simply. And genius. When the Vrex attacked, every brilliant mind on Earth was given unlimited resources and one goal: keep us alive. Turns out humans are very creative when survival is on the line. Yuki nodded thoughtfully. I have been analyzing your fleet's communications. The coordination is perfect. No delays, no errors. You are using quantum entanglement for instant communication across any distance. Among other things, Cortez confirmed, we will be sharing the technology with all colonies. No more isolation, no more wondering if help will come. We will be connected. In the main hangar, Marcus Webb was training with some of the soldiers from Earth. He was learning about the new weapons, the new tactics, the new reality of human military power. One soldier, a young woman named Lieutenant Sarah Kim, was showing him a plasma rifle. It superheats a magnetic field to create a bolt of contained plasma, she explained. Effective range of 2 kilometers in atmosphere, unlimited in space. It can punch through most armor. Marcus whistled. We had hunting rifles and hope. This is something else. You held out with what you had, Kim said seriously. That takes more courage than having good weapons. The Admiral told us about your stand. You are all heroes here. Marcus looked uncomfortable. We did not feel like heroes. We felt terrified. That is what makes it heroic, Kim replied, being afraid and standing anyway. David Park was sitting in the cafeteria with Emma, watching Admiral Cortez on the large screen giving an address to all the colonists. Emma was eating ice cream, a treat that had arrived on the supply ships. Real ice cream from Earth, not the synthetic stuff they made in the station. People of perseverance, Cortez said on the screen. You faced impossible odds. You stared death in the face and refused to blink. You showed the galaxy what it means to be human. Earth is proud of you. I am proud of you. He paused, looking directly into the camera. I know many of you felt abandoned. You wondered why we did not come sooner, why we went silent. I want you to understand. Earth never forgot you. Every day of those 3 years we thought about our colonies. Every ship we built with you in mind. Every weapon we developed to protect you. We were preparing to make sure no one could ever threaten humanity again. Emma tugged on her father's sleeve. Papa, does this mean we are safe now? David smiled and pulled her close. Yes, sweetheart. We are safe now. And we do not have to be scared anymore. We do not have to be scared anymore. That evening, Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck with Admiral Cortez and Marcus Webb. Through the transparent aluminum, they could see the Earth fleet in orbit. The ships were arranged in perfect formation, their running lights creating constellations in the darkness. What happens next? Marcus asked. The Kresh know about us now. Other species will find out. How does the galaxy react when a new military power appears? Carefully, Cortez replied. We have already received diplomatic requests from 17 governments. Everyone wants to know what humans want, what our intentions are. And what are our intentions? Sarah asked. Cortez was quiet for a moment. 3 years ago, we just wanted to survive. We wanted to protect our home. But we learned something during that war. We learned that we are stronger than we thought, tougher, more adaptable. We learned that humans, when pushed, can achieve the impossible. He gestured to the fleet. Now we have a choice. We can hide, keep to ourselves, stay small and hope no one threatens us again. Or we can step forward, take our place among the stars, show the galaxy that humanity deserves respect. Which do you prefer? Marcus asked. I spent 3 years fighting for humanity's survival, Cortez said. I am tired of fighting, but I am more tired of being afraid. We proved we can defend ourselves. Now let us prove we can build something worth defending. Far across the galaxy, in a darkened chamber lit by blue crystalline lights, a council was meeting. 12 figures sat around a circular table, representing 12 of the most powerful species in known space. They were watching holographic footage of the battle at Perseverance. The humans revealed themselves, one figure said, its voice translated by computers into something approximating concern. They have been hiding their strength. They defeated the Vrex, another added. That should not have been possible. The Vrex have conquered for 10,000 years. Should we be worried? A third asked. The eldest figure, a being of pure energy contained in a crystalline matrix, leaned forward. We should be terrified. A new species with advanced technology and the will to use it. This changes everything. Perhaps we should eliminate them now, someone suggested, before they become too strong. It is already too late for that, the eldest replied. They defeated the Vrex. If we attack them, we risk another war we might not win. It paused. No, we need a different approach. We need to understand them. Learn their weaknesses. And when the time is right, protocol extinction? One figure asked quietly. Yes, the eldest confirmed. Activate protocol extinction. If humans become a threat to galactic stability, we will remove them. Permanently. Back on Perseverance, Sarah Chen received a final message from the relay network. It had been reconnected, linking them back to Earth and all the other colonies. She opened it and read the words from the new Federation Council. Welcome home, it said. Welcome to the Terran Federation. Welcome to humanity's future. Sarah smiled and looked out at the stars. For 3 years they had thought they were alone. For 72 hours they had thought they were going to die. But they had survived. Earth had come. And now they were part of something bigger. Marcus joined her, looking tired but happy. What are you thinking? I am thinking about what comes next, Sarah replied. We spent 3 years learning to survive. We spent 72 hours learning we were not alone. Now we get to spend the rest of our lives building something new. And if there are more threats, more enemies? Sarah thought about Admiral Cortez's words. About Emma Park's faith. About 50,000 people who refused to surrender even when death was certain. About humanity's ability to achieve the impossible when pushed to the edge. Then we will face them together, she said. Because that is what humans do. We survive, we adapt, we protect our own, and we never ever give up.